Well, US President Joe Biden has spoken to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the progress of Gaza ceasefire talks. Biden stressed the immediate need for a ceasefire and the return of the Israeli captives. The call comes as Biden pushes for a deal to stop the fighting before President-elect Donald Trump returns to the White House in just 8 days. Well, let's get more on this from Hamdah. Salhut. She joins us from Jordan's capital, Amman, because Israel has banned Al Jazeera from operating in the country. First of all, Hamdah, can you just explain the significance of this call? Because Joe Biden is about to leave office and it's nothing new. We've heard Biden say this time and again that a ceasefire needs to happen immediately, as well as the return of Israeli captives.
Well, look, even though U.S. President Joe Biden had been pushing his Israeli counterparts for a ceasefire, those efforts had largely failed. And Benjamin Netanyahu said that he was going to do things his way with or without American support. But now there's a wild card here. President-elect Donald Trump is coming to office in just 8 days, and he said that he wants a ceasefire before he takes office. And at the same time, you have the Israeli negotiating team that is still in Doha and expected to stay in the Qatari capital for yet another day of these negotiations. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that he spoke with Biden about the mandate that he had given to his negotiating team, but that has not been released to the public. We don't exactly know what the Israelis are putting on the table, but we do know that they have several red lines and non-negotiables that they have been discussing throughout the last year, which is why these talks have largely failed.
There are other political developments in Israel. Can you just walk us through the issues within Netanyahu's coalition government? The far right says they don't want a deal at all. What can you tell us about that?
There's a lot of turmoil within Benjamin Netanyahu's own government. Remember that the first and only ceasefire deal that took place, you had members of his own coalition like Itamar Ben-Gvir who voted against it. And now you have Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who's been quite an outspoken opponent about any sort of ceasefire deal. And there is a large school of thought in Israel that if Benjamin Netanyahu agrees to a deal, that his government will collapse. So there were reports earlier in the day that Netanyahu held a meeting with members of the far right, including Smotrich, to try and warm him up to the idea of a ceasefire deal. But again, the far right has been against this for some time, saying that it would be a victory for Hamas, saying that they would be rewarding the Palestinian group. But Benjamin Netanyahu nonetheless still decided to send his negotiating team, still decided to give that mandate, and decided to let them stay another day in Doha for these talks. So despite what the far right wants, ultimately this is going to be Benjamin Netanyahu's decision in the end.
Hamdah, thank you so much for bringing us the latest there. That's Hamdah Salhut in Amman.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.